Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome back to AFC Newsday. It's great to be here, and we thought, you know what, we'll come live, we'll come online to have some Sunday ramblings because, you know, Sundays are weird days. And I don't know about you, Matt. Welcome back. Good to see you, mate. I don't know about you, mate, but, you know, Sundays are weird days. What do you do with your Sundays, Matt?
It's one word, and it's called football. It's great to be back.
When there's not football on,
Been a
what
bit.
what can you tell people that you do on Sundays when there's no football on?
I think people, when you're like, "Oh, what are you doing this weekend?" People are expecting some extravagant response. Just going skydiving, bungee jumping. I'm
Or
watching
maybe not,
football
mate.
from 1
Okay.
o'clock, 3 o'clock for Serie A in the evening. What else? Match of the day in the evening. What you know, like
Yeah.
that's how it
Fair enough,
is.
mate. There you go. Well, a very warm welcome to everyone watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Twitter or X, please do make sure to drop us a follow or come to YouTube, subscribe to us. You know, that would be really appreciated if you can do. But Matt, to let you know, this morning on my Sunday, I had breakfast, went out for breakfast, very nice
Ooh,
breakfast, and
lovely.
then went to watch the Manchester Derby. And I've just come back from a dessert shop, which I don't need to
Ooh.
give promo to, but
Maybe a few
needed a bit of a
pizza?
relaxation, but it's been a crazy Sunday for me, you know, a bit of a wild one. There you go. But you know what? Let's find out how someone else's Sunday's going because Curran's joining us for the third time. Curran, how's your Sunday going?
Yeah, it's going decently. I don't know what's going on with my mic, but we'll move on from that. Yeah, it's been a good Sunday. Went on a prime run, got some prime in, got the Liverpool game on, and then obviously ditched that for the United game. So yeah, pretty decent day. So yeah,
Great stuff,
pretty
mate.
chill.
Have you guys known a Sunday fixture list that's been like it was today, where there's like 3 games at 2 o'clock and they're not televised, and then you've got one game at 3:30? Like, is there any like actual valid explanation for why that happened?
I think the United City game was the one which was a bit confusing because that was a 3:30 when it's normally a 4:30, and I
Yeah.
think all I saw was that both clubs just agreed to play it an hour earlier. I don't know if there's anything more to that, but that seemed to be the case. Everton West Ham was an hour earlier as well, so for any proper football fanatics, you can start your day off like the old Super Sunday used to be with a 1:30 kickoff, a 1 o'clock kickoff, and pretty much back to wall football really.
Fair enough. There you go. But anyone watching, if you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on YouTube, let me know what you've done with your Sunday. I'm interested. I'm invested. I want to know what people have been up to today. If you've done anything interesting, let us know. Why not? We'll get involved. This is a very informal stream. You know, we're just going to be waffling. Well, not waffling. We're going to be providing good content about Arsenal, but it's fairly chill. You know, we're just going to chat about some of the other things going on in the football and sporting world. Oh, Matt, is that one of your tabs that's open there that's come out there? There you go. I don't know what's going on there.
Why would I have loads of tabs? Never.
But yes, no, absolutely great to be here. Let's start off by reflecting on yesterday's big win for Arsenal, a 5-0 victory over Sheffield United in the Premier League. Eddie Nketiah with a very impressive hat-trick. Lovely third goal as well to finish it off. And then, you know, Arsenal kind of went the rest of the way. Tomiyasu and who else got the other goal, Matt?
Fabio Vieira.
Fabio Vieira from the penalty spot, wasn't it? Yeah. So, you know, excellent day for Arsenal. 3 points, 5 goals. A convincing performance at home. Matt, you were there, weren't you?
Indeed. Can't really complain. I mean, I'll be honest. Before the game, I was as relaxed as I'm going to be for an Arsenal game. During the game, I was as relaxed as I'm going to be for an Arsenal game. And after the game, I had the exact same feeling. It was just a walk in the park. Sheffield United just posed utterly zero threat. Arsenal didn't even allow them any sort of anything until about 90th minute, where they had a nice few minute spell, which was their best spell in the whole game. And to have 100 minutes of football and concede 2 shots, which I think calling them shots is rather generous, to be honest. It is very impressive. I'm really happy for Eddie Nketiah because I'm sure we'll get onto him shortly, but I don't think how he's been playing recently. I don't think that's a fair reflection of the player which has come through at Arsenal and has improved leaps of bounds these last few years. So really happy for him to get that hat trick. Also a sign of how good Arsenal are that Gabriel can be rested, Martin Odegaard can be rested, Martinelli can get taken off earlier on, so can Bukayo Saka, and a few other examples. Even Declan Rice got to come off as well. So it's just really pleasing. Nice to get a huge win. And I think a game like that just displays exactly why you don't want to go crazy about the metrics or whatever numbers, because no disrespect, but to the 3 teams who have come up are definitely some of the worst teams we've seen in the Premier League in a good while. So not playing them so far and playing 4 of the top 6 will definitely help things a lot. But unbeaten, 2 draws and the rest wins. Can't complain, and a really comfortable, enjoyable afternoon.
Karen, you can only take positives from that game, can't you? I mean, 5 goals, 3 points, no injuries. Minutes for players that can get a chance. Emil Smith-Rowe back in the side. What was your kind of main takeaways from the game?
I mean, if you want to pull things up, you can always find something. But no, in seriousness, very convincing. And the thing is, when you look at that game, and I watched it back this morning, it was one of our more, like, how can I put this? It was very controlled in certain areas, but we were much more adventurous going forward. We weren't like doing the whole, okay, we're going to go 1 or 2-0 up and then, just relax. It was controlled but aggressive, and there was much more aggression, especially in the second half, when we were looking to really put on the pain. And some really nice goals, some really nice movement in the final third. I think obviously there was a lot of clamour for the Kai right centre midfield. I think he did fine. I don't think he did anything to write home about. But the thing is, he looked a lot more comfortable than he did when he would be playing on the left a lot, because he was higher as well. So not much to complain about, not much to take away that would say, we need to look at this, or this is what we're going to be doing going forward. If you look back at that game, because when I finished watching that game, I thought, this is one of those games where you can see what Arteta wants to put out, and one of those games where you look back in a couple of years and think, okay, this is where these are the kind of things that he was trying to do. Like, for example, if we look, I think there's one game in the 2021 season, Newcastle at home, where we had the Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka double pivot, and the whole Kieran Tierney dynamic really starting to gel in. I think that was a pretty landmark performance. And you think going forward, you're going to look back on this performance and think, oh, okay, so the Emil runs into the box, allowing Eddie to drop in and form the overload. That's going to be a common rotation. Or is Kai's ability just to stay on that right side, not just be on the right central midfield, but also in the right wing zone? Is that going to be something that continues over time? There's going to be certain things you pick up over next weeks, months, and maybe even years that kind of think, oh, I saw that. I remember seeing that against Sheffield back in the day. So, yeah, some really nice rotations and some really nice controlled aggression, especially in the final third, to get the goals and to really pile on the pain when we needed to pile on the pain, because now we're on plus 15 as opposed to being plus 10 and just in and around the top goal difference in the league. We now have, I think, the first or second, I think maybe first goal difference in the league now. So yeah, nothing much to complain about, and a good showing to go forward.
And Emil Smith-Rowe, came back into the side for the first time. His first start in 500 odd days or something like that we've seen. And, he started in a left-hand side 8 kind of role. Is that what you'd say, Karen? I mean, I didn't get to watch the full game because I was working, unfortunately, but what kind of position did he take up?
Yeah, so he was basically, there would be times when he would drop into the pivot, being in the left 8, but also be more advanced and make a lot of off the ball runs that allowed Eddie to drop into zones where he can pick up and link up play in the midfield. So he was kind of making runs that allowed Eddie to drop in link play in the final third. So he was much more dynamic in terms of being able to not only be in the pivot but also contribute in the final third. I think Kai at times at the left centre midfield, he tries to do both roles, and he doesn't really do either very well. Sometimes he'll try and drop, but he doesn't drop enough, and he leaves too much space, and there's not enough people in the center of the pitch to really progress the ball to. But he's not high enough where he can really commit and make runs, maybe on the underlap, try and get the cut-ins, or maybe make the specific movements inside the box to get into position to score. So Emil kind of committed more to both sides of the left centre midfield role, whereas Kai, now when he was on the right side, was much more committed to being in the final third, trying to overlap for Saka, who's coming inside a lot, also going outside. There was a lot more rotation, a lot more movement in the front fives than there was in previous games. So yeah, that was kind of my takeaway from it.
And Matt, from what you saw at the game, what did you make of Smith Rowe's performance overall? Did you know, it's been a long time since he's started a game, and he's been getting kind of minimal minutes so far this season. What were your main takeaway from Smith Rowe's performance, and just on a personal level, what did you think of how he played?
I was really happy to see him starting. I think it's a player who offers a lot off the ball and on the ball. And I don't think there was too much really to take away from his performance. I thought he was solid, you know, as Curran said, at times he dropped quite a bit, and then there were also times where he did go up quite a bit more, and just not really too much to say. I feel like he was decent. At being at the game, you're not concentrating too much on individual stuff, and I haven't seen the game back. But yeah,
where we sat, Matt? Where we sat? Where were you taking it in?
I was upper clock end actually, so not too bad. Saw the game, but yeah, just I think he was just decent. Nothing incredible, nothing bad. So yeah.
And I mean, we've got to talk about him. Eddie Nketiah got a hat trick. Someone that maybe a few weeks ago, a lot of Arsenal fans would have said, yeah, you know, we need to get rid of him. Or, you know, coming up in the window, see who you can get in to replace him. But, you know, he stepped up. He scored a hat trick. He had a good performance, which some might say you'd expect him to have against a team like Sheffield United. But Curran, Eddie's kind of like, he's a bit of a confusing player when, you know, he does step up at times when he's needed. But at the same time, you know, it's not as consistent as you'd like, and the level maybe isn't as high as, you know, a top level striker than someone like an Osman or maybe an Ivan Toney or Ollie Watkins. You know, a lot of people would want to upgrade on Eddie for one of those players, I think. So, I mean, what did you make of, not necessarily what did you make of Eddie's performance, but what do you make about the whole conundrum that is Eddie Nketiah, and where do you see his future being?
Eddie is someone that you really can see can be a very good, you know, either a top 6 or top 4 backup striker, or someone that could lead the line for a mid-table club. And that's not a diss at Eddie Nketiah. Eddie Nketiah is a very good player, but the fact is he can't do the same amount of running, the same amount of ability to make a channel his, or the level of finishing that Victor Osimhen has. He doesn't have the aerial presence that Ivan Toney has. Look, I think Ollie Watkins obviously has been very clinical this season, but when you look at what you need to get Eddie Nketiah to thrive, you need 3 things. You need the ability to get him in the box, and that's what we did very well. Got him the goal off Declan, a very nice ball from Declan. Once he receives that ball, that's money. Trusty on him, there wasn't that much he could do. Nice touch and goal. And the second one, that's where you want him in the box. But the third one, I think it shows what he can do if he's surrounded by the right situation. So if you look at where the space is on that goal, the space is basically he receives the ball from Emil just at the top of the D, just maybe 5-10 yards from the D. Emil makes the run in behind, draws the defender with him, and that gives Eddie the time to turn and hit. And because the run is made, it allows him to set himself. And once he set himself, that's it. He's a very good finisher. He's a very good ball striker. So
It's the
but the
first time
thing
we've
is,
really seen it from him, isn't it? Like that kind of
Yeah.
long range effort. Like it's always been kind of like a fox in the box, in and around. But that was the first time I've seen him like, slap one from outside the box, kind of.
yeah. So the other thing is, and obviously that's a massive thing for him. But the thing is, he was allowed to do that because he was given the space to turn and shoot. I think any top quality striker, if you have the ability, even like a mid-table quality striker or any striker that's worth his salt, would, if he's given that amount of space to hit one, he's going to hit it, and he hits it very well. And this is the thing about Eddie, is that Eddie can do that, but what Victor can do, for example, take Osman for example, what Victor can do is there's no space available. He can take the ball down, chest it, turn his man, and then shoot. That's the difference. Eddie has the ability to hit it in space. Victor makes his space and then will hit it, or he'll find someone, or whatever. But what Victor will do is he'll make the left channel, he'll take that left channel, and he'll dominate that zone. He'll make sure that he'll take out his centre back, or he'll run in behind and have that same run. Whereas Eddie, I feel like you need to create the space for him, and if he's got that space, perfectly fine. But that's the difference. And I think going forward, it's not about Eddie not being good. It's about Victor being that much better.
That's what I was gonna say as well about you mentioning Victor is, I've you don't want to get it twisted.
Boys, are we on
Victor
first name basis here, by the way? Do you two know him or something? I like, am I missing out here or something? Have I not been introduced?
we got a little group chat.
Oh,
Not him? Okay. But yeah, Osimhen, he is in not the top 1% per se, but he is in that part of the striker market, attainable or not, which is pretty much a cut above the rest. So this isn't, like a disrespectful thing to Eddie either, because I think Eddie is he's such an impressive number 9. Like his all-round game has improved tenfold under Arteta. He'll always have that movement and those goal-scoring instincts like he showed against Sheffield United. But Victor Osimhen, we're lucky that we can attract those type of players because of the trajectory and the quality of the club at the minute, because that type of player sets you apart from the rest, more or less. And Eddie is a really, really good player. So it will be interesting to see what does happen with him. And I thought I'd just say as well, sorry, Karen, I thought I'd just say as well, I mentioned it at the start that, I don't think how Eddie's been recently is a fair reflection on him. I don't think, these last few games, like, the way Eddie's made the ball stick, for example, just hasn't happened. When he came into the team, either during after the World Cup or back end of the season, top 4, he was making it stick really well. He was buying free kicks really well. He was doing that extra yard type stuff, which sets you apart quite well, but it's just not quite happened for him recently. So I do hope that a superbly taken hat-trick, by the way, can spur him on to be that next guy, obviously, depending on when Jesus comes back. And you got Leo who could play there and Kai who could play there. So it'd be interesting with that.
You know them all, don't you? You know the old squad.
Mate,
I mean, to be fair, you've met half of them. Have you met Martinelli? Who else have you met?
Not half. I mean, in terms of bumping into them, only Martinelli.
Bumping into him, just casually bumping into him with Tesco's or something like that.
On the way back from gym. But yeah, no, a few other players I've met at the training ground, but I only went once a few years ago. So
fair enough. Karen, is Victor Osimhen for you? Should be Arsenal's number 1 transfer target this summer.
Correct. There's not really anything I would say is a major need in this squad. I still think that we're going to need to be able to replace Jorginho and El Neni when they both leave in the summer, because it's quite clear they will both leave. And that is a major thing. I think we still need a backup for Saliba. But the main thing for me is the ability to have a striker that can win us the Champions League and the Premier League and whichever other competition you need. If you have a Victor Osimhen, you have 25 goals a season, all comps, whatever, in even the Prem, every season. And I love what we do in terms of sharing the goals around, and I love that we have multiple players that can get 10, 15, maybe even 17, 18 goals. But 25 goals a season every season, it's not something you bat an eyelid at. It's something that I think with time will allow us to put in more 5-0 performances, put in more performances where when we're on 1-0, 2-0, we then go on to hit 4, 5, maybe even 6. Because when was the last time we seen Arsenal hit 6 goals at someone? I don't even know when the last time that was. So,
got 5 this weekend.
5 this week.
West Brom away, if you want to count that.
Yeah, I like
West Brom in the snow. Was that in the snow, that game?
Early Arteta or early I think it was Ramsdale's first game actually. It might have been in the snow.
No,
I can't remember.
Ramsdale's first game was in Norwich at home. I was there. I remember it.
First non-Premier League game.
Oh, that one. Yes, no, I remember when Aubameyang scored. I remember that one. Sorry, carry on, Karen. I do apologise.
No. Look, it's for me. I think the main thing is, can you win a title with the current squad? I think you can. But can you win a title, a Champions League, and maybe an FA Cup on top in one season? I don't think you can with the current squad. I think we can win the league this year. I think we can win, maybe if the luck goes our way, a Champions League. But can you win both? Can you do a treble? Can you do something historic? Can you really create a dynasty with the current squad? I don't think so. I think at the moment we're looking at one season of Liverpool, maybe a 1920 or an 1819, something like that. But if we want to create a real dynasty, then we need to go for top talent. And as it looks, I personally like Ivan Toney. I just don't think he's at the same level of Osimhen. And the way our squad is kind of set up right now, it means that we could really do with a striker that can fill the left channel to create that striker partnership. So
who can you compare Osimhen to, Karen? Like, what current player does he maybe stylistically, have similarities with?
Stylistically similar. The thing is, right, with Osimhen, you're looking at someone that is very aerially dominant, someone that runs the channels consistently, strikes the ball very well, can really take a defense apart by himself, links up play quite well. He could do better, but he links up quite well as it is. I think I don't even know in current day. I don't know who you'd compare him to. I think you can't compare him to Haaland. He's a better footballer than Haaland. I don't think he's as clinical as Haaland, but he's definitely a better footballer than Haaland. I don't think he's a better footballer than Borussia Dortmund Haaland, because Borussia Dortmund Haaland used to do crazy things. He used to pick up the ball halfway and turn into space, and he would run at players. And obviously, it's the Bundesliga, so it's a bit different. But this Premier League Haaland is purely a goal scorer, and that's a great thing. That's what we need. But in terms of who, I don't even know. Like off the top of my head, I just don't know. Maybe maybe like if you think about maybe a more athletic Lewandowski, maybe if you made Lewandowski a lot bit more athletic, or made a more clinical, more physically dominant Randall Colomani, something like that. Like you'd have to add 4 inches onto his height and 20 pounds of muscle and indicate his finishing as well. So it's very hard to compare him to someone in this, because I think he is the best right now in terms of strikers available on the market right now. But there's a lot. There's Benjamin Šeško, there's Ivan Toney, there's a couple of other names, Evan Ferguson, etc. So there's a lot of strikers available in this current summer market, but he is, by not even a stretch of the imagination, he is the guy. And it's quite clear that he is the clear and obvious best striker available. So yeah.
There you go, Victor Osimhen to Arsenal in 2024. Let's make it happen. Hopefully, it would be incredible if Arsenal could sign someone like that. Gabriel Jesus, he's been doing all right recently as well. I'm a big fan of Gabriel Jesus, but I just think, like Curran kind of said, that can you rely on someone like Jesus to get you 25 goals a season right now? Definitely not with his injury record, but I don't think he's that kind of guy. He's not that clinical, but an excellent person to have in and around at the moment. And I mean, when you're going for all those competitions and you want to win, back-to-back trophies and, the biggest and the best trophies, you need, the slight upgrades. And, obviously Osman would be a big upgrade on Jesus and Ketia in certain ways, but, you need those extra little percentages to increase the ability and in the squad to win those kind of competitions. But yeah, boys, we've spoken about Arsenal, and it's it's a little bit yesterday's news. So should we talk about Man United? Shall we talk about Man United? Because I don't know what I've just watched, because we just watched the Manchester derby. Manchester City have annihilated, I think it's fair to say, Manchester United 3-0. The scoreline may not suggest it, but the performance definitely was domination by Manchester City. And Matt, you watched the game, didn't you? Of course you did. You said you were sat down since 1 o'clock and you just watched all the football.
I wasn't serious with that. I was just saying that's
okay.
that's the no. I tuned in from about 40th minute in the Everton game, and I've been watching. The other game since.
So you watched the whole game?
Yeah.
Okay. And for me, it's this Manchester City side can go into this kind of rhythm and the way they play the game, where it's just so demoralizing to watch if you're the team they're playing, and they just basically they win every second ball. If there's a chance you can counterattack, it's just absolutely stifled out instantly. Matt, I mean, Manchester United didn't really help themselves. I mean, what did you make of the game? Because I thought in the first half they had some pretty good chances and just didn't capitalise on them well. But the second half, my word, Manchester City were just all over them, weren't they?
I think you have two different types of teams in this modern era. You have a Liverpool who will go to put 6 or 7 past you or completely embarrass you. And you have a Man City who will suck the absolute life out of you and just take the complete piss, to be honest. And that's what they did today against United. They did it in the 2-0 a few seasons ago. They've done it in numerous other occasions, only too well with the team we support, sadly, but hopefully times of that are changing. But United were, first half, I think they were all right. They had a good structure-ish about them. They were quite compact. City weren't really creating any big chances. That being said, that cutback side of things was still a huge problem. Foden had a free header, and Onana, who had a really, really good game, parried it pretty pointlessly and then made a good save afterwards, which kept the score at 0-0. And that was about it, other than the slightly dubious penalty, which I think it's one of those where I don't think people are angry the fact it's a pen. People are angry the fact that 10 other incidents of the same ilk will happen and the ref just will completely pretend it doesn't happen. So frustrating. And for that to be a clear and obvious error is debatable, to say the least. But obviously, I guess United had it coming to them based off that huge error last season, but which obviously benefited us at the time. But yeah, I think the game changed at halftime really with that sub. I don't think United were ever,
Amrabat coming off.
Yeah, because I think that just structurally, that felt like that Wolves game again, and so many other games where they just had a massive gaping hole in that midfield. They lost that compactness. In transitions, they were getting obliterated. And what City always do, obviously, the overloads on the wide or on the left-hand side, right-hand side, that's exactly what undid United for the second goal. But once again, cutbacks again, Haaland being as open as he was unbelievable. And I don't think it's a case where if they kept Amrabat on the pitch, they go and win that game or anything like that. I think they had some huge moments. They had the Haaland one-on-one. They had the McTominay speculative effort. They had McTominay who had a really good ball carrying moment and messed it up. Same for Eriksen and a few others. And most of that happened in the first about 15 minutes. And once you don't take those big opportunities or big openings against Man City, you get punished. And it was punished by, as I say, a dubious-ish penalty. Stupid to do that in the area, but dubious nonetheless. And obviously, the second went in and it was just completely deflated for United. And as I was saying about City, the way they do things, if that was Liverpool, they're going to hide United like they did in the 7-0. But because it's City don't go try hide you. If you want to give up, such space to players like Erling Haaland, then they'll make it 2 and 3-0. But they'll just go to absolutely humiliate you. And it was just completely game over ever since that second goal. 1-0, it wasn't game over because the one goal in it. United were getting a few transitions. The game was going pretty much how everyone expected it to be. City having most of the ball and United having a few decent transition moments, which they just didn't capitalise on. But the second that second went in, it was pretty much curtains.
Yeah, for sure. And we won't go too deep into it because we're not a Manchester United fan channel. I just wanted to mainly just laugh and enjoy. But Erik ten Hag's. Do you feel like, Karen? Do you feel like Erik ten Hag's almost given it a bit of a free pass at times? Like he's come in and like United had a good period of a slow kind of increase of decent performances, and I kind of think it almost peaked a little bit when Arsenal played Man United at the Emirates, and it was that 3-2 game. Arsenal still won that game. Just thought I'd say, but it's really, I don't know. I just feel like for me, Ten Hag kind of leaves me underwhelmed as such with this Manchester United side, and I don't think the signings he's made has been good at all. With a lot of them, paying 100 million euros for Anthony is just scandalous, like in so many ways. A very questionable decision, and some of the other signings as well. Even for me, the way that United fans were kind of in the window pinning all of their hopes on Sofian Amrabat being the answer to all their issues, it just kind of made me think, hold on a second, like they're like, oh, if we get Amrabat, we'll be good, we'll be ready to go. And like hold on a second, like he had a good World Cup, but he's not going to change things around at United. Karen, what's your take on Erik ten Hag, and do you think that his days are maybe limited? Because I have a bold prediction that I think he's not going to last the season, but that's just me.
He's not going to last 2023, let's be honest. If we're going to be honest, he's not lasting 2023 because the fact is they've got this ownership takeover. They're going to want to make a splash, and either they're going to back him vehemently, or he's going to go in before January and get someone in before January, make the signings of blah 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 blah. Oh, look, we're doing stuff. And that's going to be how they sell it to the fans. So either he gets backed or he doesn't, and he goes. The fact is he has to make it to the full sale or the 25% sale to get there. But the fact of the matter is that they're looking dodgy in the Champions League. They're looking dodgy in the league. They're barely in the top half of the table, and it's just a culture there. There's a culture there that has no accountability for the actions that they precipitate. So they sign players and then blame the owners for not signing players. Look, I understand that the recruitment process is trash, and the way that they've structured the club, that it's made it so that you don't really have a lot of faith in them signing the right players, but they gas every signing, and then when it happens that they all get the signings on the pitch, it's someone else's fault. It kind of deflates. The other thing is, and this isn't going to be a major thing, but the guy came out today before the game, and he was asked, "Okay, why have you selected Evans over Varane?" And he goes, tactics.
He said it was tactical, didn't he? Yeah, he said it was tactical.
He said it was tactical.
In what world can that be tactical?
So I talked to a couple of my mates, and then we all assumed that it was looking at three at the back with the three of them, and then probably Amrabat playing some sort of weird left wing back role or something like this. Dallo on the right, Amrabat on the left wing back, and then coming inside to form the pivot, and then it just all kind of fell apart after that. Because they started off really well. I thought maybe the first 15-20 minutes start off, there was,
I agree. Yep.
There was a real urgency about how they were playing. They had a couple of chances. I think there was 2 or 3 times where they'd found a way to get a player out on the left-hand side of the City defense, so the Gvardiol side. So once it was Højlund and the second was, I think it was McTominay. Both of them were in that channel, waiting for the ball to be received, and either there was a shot taken that kind of petered into nothing, or they went the other way and they weren't found. And there was a couple of opportunities, and then the penalty happened, which again, it's not about having whether it's a penalty or not. It's just being consistent. Like if it's a penalty, then have every one of those be a penalty. If it's not a penalty, have none of them be a penalty. But when you're having things like Gabriel versus Newcastle, or even Højlund on Gabriel, which they just to be fair, because they have that point as well. You can't have those not be penalties, and then this Maguire, was it Maguire? I don't know. I can't remember who it was.
No, it was
Højlund.
Yeah,
It was Højlund. And then Maguire one was on Tomiyasu, the other one, from 21-22. You can't have this be a penalty and the other ones not be penalties. It just doesn't make any sense. Does contact in the box matter, or does it not matter? So it's strange. And then from there, they kind of all fell apart, and especially in that second half, what Ten Hag thought about taking off Amrabat and then not replacing him with any sort of like even bring on Varane and push like someone or one of the defenders into midfield and do something. Don't just have Eriksen on his own and McTominay trying to be three-phase god playing defensive midfielder 8 and then the 10 as well. He's not that guy. He's not Yaya Toure, for God's sake. That you can't play all three phases. So it was just a pain to watch because it doesn't make any sense. Because when you have City with the ability to have Rodri, Bernardo, Foden, these guys all dropping into spaces, even Alvarez and then Gvardiol wide and Walker wide. Like they played Gvardiol and Walker wide against us. They got no purchase because we cut off the lanes. We cut off the ability for them to distribute into wide areas. Whereas with them, it was literally Rodri picking diagonals out to Walker and Erling Haaland almost scoring. Gvardiol on the over, bloody Josko Gvardiol, like a centre back is on the overlap against you, and you're not doing anything against it. It's just poor.
I remember watching it in the City game because we're North Bank lower for that game, me and Raf, and Vardiol was down that kind of left hand side, so my right as I was looking at it. And there's one time he just was down the box in space, and I remember whoever was playing right back that game, Ben White, just closed him down, and he's just like it's confusing. I don't understand it completely. And I remember the game last season at the Emirates, he played Bernardo Silva at left back. So I don't know what Pep's obsession is with playing people that don't play left back at left back, and then he sells Cancelo and Zinchenko. But hey ho, there we go. Chaps, it's been great to chat. Anything else any of you wanted to chat about this Sunday? Did you watch Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou? Did you?
Actually,
Matt, you didn't watch. You did it.
I did.
No.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
It was a joke.
Sort uproar.
Yeah,
it's the same. It's the same as it's just the same old with boxing. It's just protect boxing. Forget about the actual whoever wins the fight. Whatever's best for boxing is what we're going to say. Who we're going to say wins. It's not about actually having the right man win. And like it may sound solid, but both Furies did not deserve to win their fights respectively.
I watched the other one, to be fair, and I'm not a regular boxing fan at all. I watched the rugby, actually, the rugby final, and I watched some of the Newcastle Wolves game, but didn't quite watch the rugby.
That penalty, by the way, the Newcastle Wolves penalty was a joke.
Never mind just the penalty, by the way, not to lap onto VAR or whatever, because it gets enough controversy every single week. But the fact they took 5.5 minutes to disallow a goal in Burnley versus Bournemouth is
mate. I was
outrageous.
working, honestly. I was working this game, and we were just sat there in disbelief, like because they communicated the lines weren't working, and then they went to Stockley Park, and on the actual VAR screen, they actually pictured the people at Stockley Park working on it, and they were just sat there in their seats, like it's not working, we can't do anything. It's like flipping heck, like it's. And Jay Rodriguez was clearly offside as well, so they could have just made a judgment call because they've got all the camera angles. So why couldn't they just clearly see by eye that it was offside? But I mean, that was a disgrace in itself. And Burnley are probably going to be, I reckon, the first team to sack their manager this season. I think Vincent Kompany's days are numbered.
The three who came up, just I'm impressed how bad they are. No disrespect, like Luton.
Bournemouth.
I actually like. I feel like Luton have the chance to hit you on a bad day. The other two they just not on a bad day, But I feel like Luton are a team who can cause you problems. Obviously, with that home ground they have, that underdog aspect they have. They can cause you problems. More they adapt to the Prem. Obviously, Sheffield United have got a horrid injury list. And Burnley, I mean, they've kind of binned off what got them very good last season and just are trying to do something which can't really be replicated. It reminds me a tiny bit of Southampton, but Southampton were nowhere near this bad and they posed a real threat against the big teams, ironically. But
Southampton turned up against the big teams and then just decided not to against anyone else. But do you know what, though? I do think the Championship's incredibly exciting this year. I've been, working naturally a lot on it, but the Championship have got some really exciting teams, like Plymouth, Ipswich, some of these teams to come up from League One. And, naturally, you've got your Leeds, Leicester, Southamptons, loads of teams right up there. And it's a really exciting division. And, if Ipswich could potentially go, get promoted from League One straight to the Premier League, that would be an incredible achievement. And, they're a fantastic side. And, oh, man, I'm excited to see what happens. But, gentlemen, it's been great to chat to you both this evening. I won't keep you any longer on your Sundays. Karen, anything you wanted to add? Thanks for jumping on. This is
no, it's all right.
Your third appearance. So, you're our most popular guest. So if you wanted to react to that and, just give us your immediate response to being our most popular guest here on AFC Newsday.
Yimbalays, I think, join or one behind.
Oh, Yem's on 2, yeah.
Lovely. I mean, yeah, it's nice to talk to you guys. Nothing much to add on to that. I think it's always nice to have a chat. But look, it's just take it week by week, and there's going to be another international break in 2 weeks, so I'm sure we'll have more content to get through at that point. So
absolutely, we will get you on a serious one soon. I know this was basically a bit crap, but
I'm going to basically spend the next 10 minutes trying to fix whatever has happened with this mic. Then we'll for sure. No worries. Anytime, not a problem.
Well, if you wanted to follow the fantastic man that is Curran, you don't have your handle on your thing. Oh, you can follow him at Curran.
I don't know why it usually does, but
you can Curran at Curran BOP. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
Mr. Ball over passion himself. We need to get George on. We haven't got George on before. We need to get George on 100%. I feel like that would be a bit of a tactical masterpiece if we got him on. We need to get both of you on. Ball over passion X Arsenal AFC Newsday. There we go, gentlemen. It's been great to speak to you both. We will be back this week with plenty more content here on AFC Newsday. If you're not already, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Twitter, follow us on at AFC Newsday. It'll be great to have you there. Arsenal are back in action on Wednesday when they travel away to West Ham United. Matt, you going to that one at all?
Not that I know of at the minute. I don't think so. No.
Okay. Are you in danger of going at all?
I mean, if a ticket pops up, I'm not going to complain, but I don't think I'll be going.
No, fair enough. And then the huge game away at St James's Park on Saturday when they take on Newcastle at 5:30. So, we'll have plenty of content here on AFC Newsday for that. We'll preview the big game on Saturday, and then we might do a little bit of reaction to the West Ham game as well. I'm sure that will be a few talking points on that one. So please make sure to stick around, subscribe if you're not already, and we really appreciate you being here. So catch you again very soon. Take care.